Welcome to Will's Box Song Pod, a show where we dig deep into the songs and artists that move us and how we're moved to craft the songs we write. I'm Tim Wilsbach, and I write, release, and perform music as Wilsbach, and you can find me anywhere you stream music. Let's dig in. Ugly Side Up is a 90s rock band stuck in the 21st century, featuring fast, dancey songs about life's glory or lack thereof. Founded in 2016 in Austin, Texas, and relocating to Los Angeles in 2018, they released their first EP called Fool in 2021, featuring the singles Summer Comes and Summer Goes and A Broken Heart for Two, the latter being nominated for Best Music Video Shot on a Cell Phone at the LA Music Video Awards. In 2022, the band released their first full-length This Is a Robbery, featuring the singles Wasted and This Is How I Say Hello. Since 2023, they have released 5 singles, including Magic Johnson, which receives regular airplay on Radio FM 88.5, the SoCal Sound. Welcome to Will's Box Song Pod, Dominykas Bytautas. Did I say that right?
You said it
That's
perfectly.
A tough one.
You said that's why I just go by Dom. Dom's so much easier instead of Dominykas Bytautas. So
yeah, nice.
Dom. And that's why I made a band, because my name would be terrible to try to spell and get people to listen to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Ugly Side Up, but talk about that name. Where does that come from?
So I'm a big fan of lists and spreadsheets and things like that. And that started when I was in high school. So in college, I started a list of band names. And then there was a lot of different names on there, like Poseidon, Corrosion, One Sad Bomb, just so many. And I would record really bad stuff under those names for fun. And then when I decided, okay, I want to do this for real, I want to actually make a band, play shows, I looked at that list and Ugly Side Up was on that list. And I thought it was the best one. And I remember I was with my friend at Waterloo Records in Austin. And we just saw some little kitschy thing called Sunny Side Up. And he said, hey, Ugly Side Up. That's cool. If you change Sunny to Ugly. And I don't like eggs, so that's why I don't do the egg thing. A lot of people are like, why don't you your logo like an egg? So I don't like eggs. So yeah.
So a little play on Sunny Side Up. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
You mentioned Austin. Are you from Austin originally?
So I'm from Galveston, Texas originally,
Okay.
But I went to school in Austin. I went to college there, and I visited throughout the years too. It's my town's very small, so I used to go to Houston a lot. It's just an hour north of where I'm from. So, but yeah, I'm a Texas boy through and through.
Gotcha.
But I don't sound like it, I bet.
Yeah, you don't have the drawl. It's like me. I'm a Chicagoland guy, and I don't think I have a Chicago accent.
I get Midwest vibe, but I didn't think Chicago. I wasn't Chicago. This guy is Chicago.
Right.
I didn't get that.
That comes out a little bit if I go home, if I go back, but nobody really lives there. I have a cousin that lives there, and then my aunt kind of comes back and forth between there and Palm Springs. So we don't really get back there a whole lot. Basically my whole family lives in Nashville now. So if I'm going home, it's actually to somewhere that I've never lived.
Right.
So it's a weird.
Funny, fun fact, I was actually born in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
But I moved to Galveston. I didn't move. My parents moved, and they just dragged me along when I was 9 months old. So
yeah.
So Galveston's my home, but I was born in Nashville, so kind of cool.
Gotcha. All right, and you have, as we talked about, you have a very interesting name. What nationality is that originally?
It's Lithuanian. My parents are from Lithuania. They immigrated to the U.S. They're both from there. And then they had me, so first generation American as well.
All right, excellent. So let's talk about some songs.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, so the first question that I typically like to ask people, and really the whole reason for this podcast, is the central question we're trying to ask here is, how do you write a song?
Okay, very interesting. So I get asked that a lot. Actually, I got a tattoo yesterday, and my tattoo artist, we just talking about music, and they asked me how I write. So I kind of prepared for this in a way.
Nice.
I usually start with lyrics, because lyrics are my favorite part of music. So how I look at it is I want to write lyrics that are good, just good, solid lyrics that I enjoy. They evoke a feeling. They rhyme well. I can see myself singing them to people. I can see people connecting to it. And then I usually have a melody in my head, and I add music to it. And the music I add, I want to service the lyrics. So it's about, to me, lyrics primary, then music secondary. Sometimes I have a list told you, I'm going to be talking about lists and lists that I have. I have a list of just song titles that I think are cool song titles. Sometimes I get in the mood, I want to write a song. I look at that list and I think of what title jumps out at me, and I just write what I think it means to me. And then a song is born in probably 15 minutes. And then I determine if it's good or not in 5 minutes after that. And then I don't go back to it, or I do.
Yeah, so you're writing to title more often than not.
Kind of, yeah, yeah. And what I've been doing recently too is kind of trying to write to a theme, because I don't know how often you write. I would love to know. I write all the time. Like, I usually write, by average is probably like 5 songs a week.
Wow.
I just can't not, is the thing.
Yeah.
If I'm idle, I just sit down and just start writing something, and usually I don't even know what it's about until like way later. But I will sometimes, since I write so much, I need kind of inspiration, because my life it's cool, it's good, but sometimes I need. I just think of like themes, and I'm really a big fan of like concept albums and stuff. So sometimes I write songs to fit albums in my head, just to a theme, because that's how I sort it in my head.
Yeah,
So
I love that.
way, yeah.
And that's great. You have to write a ton to, it's like a muscle. You just have to kind of exercise that creativity and constantly put it. The more you write, the more often you're gonna the good songs are gonna kind of sift through, and you're gonna end up with better ones. There's a ratio, right? Almost like
Absolutely.
X number of songs to get one that you like and you connect with and you want to record and put out into the world. I kind of go in spurts.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say a little bit older than you. I'm a lot older than you. And there was a time where I wrote a ton more. But now it kind of comes in waves a little bit. I would love to write more than I do, but I have 2 kids and a job and all this other stuff, and just life gets in the way sometimes.
Yeah.
But what I do when I'm really kind of in the groove of being creative, and I miss it when I'm not in that mode. But I do this thing, and I talked about this on the pod before, but there's a book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I used to work at Barnes & Noble. I sold many copies.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So she has this thing. The takeaway for me is this thing called morning pages, where it's literally the first thing that you do in the morning before you've had your coffee or you're talking to anyone or read the news or whatever. The first thing you do, grab your notebook, grab a pen, and just write for three pages of longhand. Doesn't have to make any sense. Doesn't have to be a story. Doesn't have to be anything you would ever put out into the world. It's just put pen to paper and let your brain kind of go, here's what's on my mind. And it really sounds strange at first, but for me at least, it really does a great job of like filtering through all the stuff in my head and letting me know like, oh, this is what you really want to talk about. And I've gotten a ton of songs ideas just from kind of doing that exercise. So when I'm really in it and I'm doing that, I'm like you. I don't know if I write 5 songs a week, but I'm like I have a regular output that I'm happy with. And then another thing that I do that I've done in the past too is this. I don't know if you've ever been part of these like songwriting games where someone will give you a topic or a title on Wednesday, and they say, okay, everybody in the group has until next Wednesday to write a song that includes this word or phrase or title or theme or whatever. And I love that. I'm a very like deadline driven person. Mm-hmm. Like, so if I have a deadline and someone has given me just a little spark of inspiration, I love to kind of run with that.
Gotcha. So. That's cool. I like both of those methods. I remember I watched an interview with Billy Corgan, like when I was very young, like high school or something. And he talked about how he loves to write in the morning. Like he'll wake up and then just start writing. And that's how he wrote like most of like their Smashing Pumpkins big stuff, all in the morning. And he still does it to this day. And I'm actually the opposite, because I haven't tried writing in the morning that much. Sometimes it works. I wrote a song this morning, actually. So before this, I woke up early and was like, I have a song in my head. I'm going to write it real quick.
Love it.
But I like the day to happen, and that I get inspiration from the day happening. And then at the end of the day, like I come home and sometimes I just sit down and just write a song or two or, stuff like that. But I haven't read The Artist's Way. I haven't read really a lot of books about songwriting or even just being an artist in any of that kind of way. I know so many that have been recommended to me, and I don't know. I just haven't yet. I feel like I will get to them, you know?
Yeah. Right.
Um, but I mean, I feel the same too. Like it's usually spurts. Like I haven't written 5 songs a week since I was like 16. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
you get writer's block, and I get bummed out when I get writer's block, and I try to write, but nothing's good, and you try to force it. But
Yeah.
you let it come to you, and then after you write, 1,000 songs, at least 5 are good.
Yeah.
Bound to be.
Right. Yeah.
So, there you
Exactly. It's
go.
that ratio.
But yeah, I was listening. You listen to my music. I listen to yours.
Oh, nice.
Shadow and Spotlight, and I was wondering, is it because it sounded kind of to me like a concept album? Is it kind of like that, or how did you write that?
You know what? It didn't start out as a concept album, but there's kind of recurring themes of again, Shadow and Spotlight, kind of this push pull between wanting to be, an artist and out in the open and on stage, and hey, look at me, and at the same time being like, oh, that's I'm cringing because you're like looking at my output, and like
Yeah.
I came across this quote like a week ago, and I'm going to butcher it, but it's something along the lines of like being a creative person, or being creative is being comfortable with embarrassment or something like that. Risking being embarrassed. So it's kind
For
of
sure.
it's kind of around that. A lot of those songs were COVID like COVID songs
Makes a
too.
lot of
So
sense now.
yeah.
Yeah.
But interesting. What part of that is what part of why did you think that was a concept album? Are you is there stuff that you're hearing that kind of connects? Or I'm curious as a
Yeah, well,
listener.
I got the you reference kind of like shadows and like light. I thought quite a few times, but
Yeah,
the thing that got to me was the first song, because the first song sounds very much like an introduction, like
yeah, totally.
hello, like this is the album, and it was kind of like to set up the theme, and
Yeah,
and then I listened to it once through, and I really enjoyed it. By the way,
nice.
I
Thanks, man.
listened to it more. Yeah, but yeah, I kind of got that vibe. And the thing is also, if I'm being honest, I'm searching for that. Whenever I listen to an album, I'm always
Yeah,
looking for some kind of theme, because that's what I love. Like if I know it's an album that's just random songs kind of thrown together and there's no through line, I can tell, and I don't like it as much. Maybe back in the day. Now I'm too. Sometimes I get too into my head about music. It just happens.
yeah,
And I want there to be more meaning to it than there is. But sometimes a song about being in love is just a song about being in love. And there's
right.
no other, there has to be no underlining theme. It's just, it is what it is.
Right.
So,
Well, that's a hallmark of a good song, like you're mentioning, though. Like if it's something that engages with the listener or the audience, and it's not necessarily what you intended as a songwriter, but there's enough there for 5 different people to take 5 different meanings from it. I mean, that's fantastic. That's
yeah.
artists, is universal, and having that open space to inject your own interpretation is really fantastic.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
It's
So
definitely my favorite thing. Sometimes people love to ask me what the song's about, and I always ask, what do you think the song's
yeah,
about?
right.
It's my favorite, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting that you mentioned. So that first track, Shadow and Spotlight, that's the first song I've ever written. I wrote that specifically for this album, and specifically to be the opening track.
Oh, okay.
And I've never done that before. But I had the final track on the album I knew that was going to be, and that's kind of a departure for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I want this to. I need a bookend, and I want to set up kind of a mood and a theme. So I can't tell you how thrilled I am that at least one person picked up on that without me saying that first.
Well, you did your job right,
Yeah.
and you did it. Hey, you did it damn well too.
Yeah. So you have now become my favorite guest ever on the.
There's a reason why you asked me to be here. Like, I knew there was a reason, and it's because I'm the best guest for a podcast.
Exactly. So now the secret is out. The whole reason for this podcast is for me to talk about me.
No, I like podcasts that are conversations, and
yeah, totally.
I was like, because I know, like, you reached out to me and said, hey, we're going to talk about your music. And I said, I don't want to talk about me for an hour and a half. I want to talk, I want it to be about both of us.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let's at least let's do a little turnabout. Let's talk about you for a minute.
Okay, fine. Don't make me. Fine.
So I just listened this morning to Magic Johnson, which I thought was fun, and that to me sounds like a love letter to Los Angeles.
Okay, that's
To
what
a
you
degree,
think.
right? No?
Yeah. That's what your interpretation is.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah. It was written. I don't even remember when I wrote it very quickly. I remember it was like 10 minutes, and it was just kind of stuck in my head. And my favorite part about the song is that there's the duality of the line I say I could never stay away, and then I say stay away like 150 times. So it's
Right.
like, wait, are you saying you could never go there, or you should say please don't come? Like,
Right. Because the
and
traffic is too bad. Stay away, people. Los Angeles is lovely, but there's too many people here.
yeah, and I do love Los Angeles, and I think that is. I didn't move here for glory. I didn't move here because apart. I want to. I moved here because I want to play music, and this is the best place to play music live.
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities, but I think there's a part deep down of every person who moves here that wants that glory, that wants their name in lights, that wants thousands of people, singing their songs back to them and everything. So I think that song is my kind of like, I don't want to say toxic glory seeking side, but it is, I want it all and I want it now. It's very much like you think you want it and then you don't know what you want till you got it. Right. So, but that's one of my favorite songs to play live. Also, it was very different. It wasn't very different when I made it as a demo. So how my process works with the band is I'll write the song, I'll make a demo, and then I'll share the demos with them, and then they will like suggest things to add. So this song was very much, I think it's like 2 minutes 40 seconds. It used to be just 2 minutes straight flat, and one of my bassist, now drummer Sam, he suggested, hey, let's have this little slow kind of like part where it kind of builds up again into the last chorus, and I was like blown away. I was like, this makes the song so much better. Like I liked it, but now I love it.
Yeah. You made a bridge.
Yeah, and that was it's something I didn't think about. I've written bridges, but for this song I was like, no, just straightforward punk and then just end it. But he said, no, let's like throw some dynamics, and now it's one of my favorite parts of playing the song is that. So this has been a new thing where I'm asking the band, hey, any suggestions, let me know. Not that we'll do it,
right?
But I want to know how we can make it better, and also if you don't like it, which is nice too, because sometimes I don't know if I like it or not, so I kind of share it with them, and they're going to be honest, and they have different perspectives on it too, because they want to play it, they want to have fun playing it, they want it to like represent us and be good, because it represents them too. So that was a long-winded description of Magic Johnson.
I love the long-winded answer. That's great. It's perfect for a podcast.
I want it all. I want it now. I want to sink my teeth into the ground. I want the world inside my hand. I want to fly away and never, never, never land. Give me love and give it now. Did my time and I'm not proud. Never gonna leave LA. I could never stay away. Stay away, 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 stay away.
So you're pretty much the primary writer. You're kind of bringing the lion's share, if not all of the songs, to the band, and then you build from there, as you kind of mentioned.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works, and I don't want to say that's how it will be forever, but it's how I've done it. That's how I've written things and songs and poems or whatever I've done since I like middle school.
Yeah.
So never had a band until I was in college, and I put them together, and I told them from the get-go, hey, even these guys I met here and put together, I was like, I write everything. We're going to play the songs I want to play. But obviously, like, I want your input.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of how I'm wired. And,
right.
Like we've talked about maybe like co-writing stuff, but sometimes I feel like it could be too scattered. Like you really need a partner, or you need to find a group of guys. Some people do it really well. Some people do it not very well. But I want it to be cohesive. Like to me, a song tells a story. It tells an emotion. So if one guy's singing about how in love he is and the other's heartbroken, it's like, wait, what is this song? So
Right. Yeah,
that's
co-writing is tough. Like co-writing as a whole, I don't
yeah,
know if it's tough. But it's a completely different thing in my
it's tough.
experience
Yeah,
than just writing on your own. Like my thing that I talked about doing the morning pages. One of the things that I really love about that, or like even you, at one point I was like you, like late night guy, like writing songs. But the through line for all of that is I write the best when I'm alone and it's quiet and there's nothing around to distract me. I don't have to worry about like someone in the next room listening to me as I'm working out chords and lyrics and like judging every little thing that they hear, which is ridiculous. I live with people that love me and could care less
but
if
it's
I'm, you know,
I
but
get
it's,
that.
yeah,
I've been there too. I mean, growing up, I was like, my parents are going to hear me, whatever. I don't care. But when I moved here, I shared a 1-bedroom apartment with my friend, and we're very good friends. I've known her since high school. But it was a weird. I would sometimes go to my car to write music because I was in
yeah,
the living room and he'd be in the bedroom, or I'd be in the bedroom, and then I'm like, I just feel too self conscious because sometimes he'd pop in and go, "That's a really good song." Like I'm hearing you, sorry, but like and now I'm like in my head about it.
yeah,
It's like I didn't need that, but thank
right.
you. But then when I write a song and he doesn't do that, I'm like, oh, I guess it's not that good.
Yeah,
So it goes both ways, but
yeah,
it's a little bit better now. It's nice when you have your own space, right? And no one's like gonna distract you. And like you're in a house with people that love you, but they know, like, hey, dad's in this room. He's probably working on music. I'll just like text him like, hey, come talk to me, or they're not gonna interrupt
right.
you.
Yeah.
So
You're a guitar guy. Is that your only instrument, or you? What do you typically write on?
I write on my acoustic guitar. I used to write on the electric guitar, but now I write on the acoustic. I don't know why I've kind of switched it up. I think it's louder. If I'm being
Yeah,
honest, it's just
right.
louder, and I don't want to plug in my guitar every time. I don't want to be that obnoxious. But I also write. 2 years ago, I broke my finger playing basketball. I bent it 45 degrees.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, not on purpose.
Yeah,
Then I like popped it back in, and then I couldn't basically use these two fingers for like 2 months.
right,
So I wrote on the piano, and like I can play piano okay. Like I don't want to ever play in front of people piano
right.
because I'm not that good, but I can kind of stab at the keyboard and like get notes and I like that I. Sometimes, do you ever feel like this? Like I've played guitar so much that sometimes it's not exciting because
Yeah,
I kind of know what I want to. When I write a song now, I already know. Okay, it's going to go G to D, and then A minor, and then E minor, and it's this. Now I go to the guitar. It's like, oh, I already know what it sounds like.
right.
So it's nice. I like to go to the piano sometimes, an instrument that I don't. I know very basics, just the
Right.
core of
Uh-huh.
like how to make a chord, and then I just like to play around because I'm like learning, but I also don't want it to become like the guitar
Right.
where it's not exciting. So
Yeah, it opens up something new when you're kind of a little bit out of your comfort zone.
yeah,
I was listening to there's another great songwriting podcast. There's a great songwriting podcast called I don't know what it's called. I totally just drew a blank.
you're
It's by
right. No,
these
it is another a great songwriting
right,
podcast because this is one, and
right.
there's
Yes.
another one that So.
It's two guys from Liverpool. What the hell is it called? Play the music here while I look for the. Wait, it's like nowhere in my list now.
Paul and Ringo songwriting.
It's kind of sounds like that. It's something to do with songwriting. I think song. Oh, I just had it. Song. What the hell is it called? Soda jerkers.
That's not like.
No.
That's not like.
It's not. It's Soda Jerker on songwriting is what it's called. All right, that was a long way to get around.
Soda jerker.
Soda Jerker on songwriting, and it's these two guys from Liverpool, and they've been doing it for I don't know 5 or 6 years. Anyway, long way around to say one of their recent guests was Sheryl Crow, whose her main instrument is guitar and piano, and she was saying a lot of times she'll write on the bass because that doesn't box her into like you're saying the jangly guitar chords or her piano thing that she typically does. So yeah, it was an issue. I think, oh, that's a good thing. I have a bass. Maybe I should do that.
Yeah. So what you're saying is we are Sheryl Crow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Got it.
Yes.
Got it. Yeah. No, I've done that before. Sometimes I'll if I want very much like I don't know if you're like this too. Sometimes I hear a song and I basically just want to write a song just like it. So if there's a song that has like a great bass intro and a bass line, I'm like, I want to write the next great bass song with the bass intro and all that. So I grab my bass and I just start chugging along, and it's not as good, but it's close.
Yeah,
it's getting there, right? So I'll do that as well. Grab like a bass. What else do I have? I got a melodica for Christmas. I asked for a melodica, and that was really fun. I like to throw it in some songs here and there. And like, but writing on it, I can't like sing while I play it, but it's a fun little thing. I don't have to. We have a piano downstairs in my house that I live here in the valley, and I'll sometimes go down there. But it is like we were talking earlier, very public. It's like in the middle of everything. So if I'm writing, I kind of want to just do it in my room. So sometimes I'll pull out my melodica and just play around on it.
That melodica sound is pretty neat.
It's mostly because I was obsessed with Gorillaz at the time, and I still am.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you a fan of Gorillaz?
Yeah, I do like the Gorillaz. Have you seen? You've probably seen this video where he talks about the Clint Eastwood song.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where it's, for anyone that hasn't seen it, it's really incredible. Like the entire song is basically he hits a button on this keyboard, and it's just kind of the pre-programmed thing, and all he does is basically raps over it. It's wild.
Yeah,
definitely check that out.
Yeah, it was like I think it's like some Casio keyboard 1.0, like one of the most basic ones. And it sounds so like a toy when you hear it over the audio, but then you put it into like really good production equipment, and then it sounds really good. But it really is just that beat, the boom, 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 the whole time. So it's cool. He's probably one of my biggest inspirations, like songwriter, musician wise.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
I hear a lot of there's some Weezer influence maybe in there. You a Weezer fan at all?
Huge Weezer
in your
fan.
Stuff? Yeah,
Weezer head for life.
Yeah,
for sure.
That comes across for sure. You're gonna go. They're coming to that new Intuit Dome in October.
Yeah, the cheapest ticket right now is $280. So I don't know. I've seen them so many times, and I've never played remotely that much to see them. And I know they're playing the Blue album front to back, which I think it's not my favorite record of all time, but I think it's the most perfect record of all time. Yeah, like front to back for sure.
Yeah, there's not a bad song on that thing for sure.
Not a bad moment, not a bad second. It's just perfect, like through and through. And so funny, I also have a spreadsheet of albums I listen to, and I rate them and kind of all that stuff. So yeah, so that one's on there. It's at the very, very top. But
Nice.
I wish I could. But the thing is, too many times I've seen Weezer and I've been in a mosh pit and I love just like rocking out to Weezer. Mm-hmm. But if I pay $280, I'm going to be in the nosebleeds and not be able to rock out. So
Gotcha.
Kind of like
that. I don't love the big arena shows either. That might be one I would make an exception for, but I probably won't either. Hollywood has not been good to me this year, so probably not going to spend a bunch of money on a concert.
Yeah, I did see. It's been a while since I went to a stadium show. I did see Blink when they were
nice.
A few weeks ago, because tickets went down to like $40. It started at like 100 and slowly went down. I was like, this is awesome, perfect. Yeah. And I was in the very last row at SoFi Stadium, the very last one, and I had a great time.
Yeah.
So like I guess you never know until you're there. If you love the music, then it's good enough. So I might see Green Day. They're going to be there next month. So.
Yeah, gotcha. Green Day is another one that I can tell is a favorite of yours.
Yeah,
that you kind of wear that influence on your sleeve a little bit too.
Yeah, not on purpose, but it's just it's no matter what I do. Every time we play a show, someone comes up to me and says, "Hey, do you know you sound like the Green Day guy?"
Yeah,
every show. Like without fail, and
all right,
and they never say not in a bad way. Like, why is there a bad way? Why are you trying to say it like that? No, without Green Day, I wouldn't be in Los Angeles. I don't know if I played music. I was very much into basketball. I was a part of like many teams. Went to state when I was in middle school, so I was going to be playing basketball. That was my thing.
Interesting. I don't remember you. You're not a whole lot taller than me. Are you tall? How tall are you?
I'm like 5'11", 6 foot.
Okay, yeah.
Right. I was like, I didn't end up getting taller, but I was, like a good height back then. Like I wasn't short.
Right. But, I mean, not that you have to be tall to be a basketball player. That's
for sure.
Obviously the stereotype, but
yeah, and also it helps. Let's just be honest.
Yeah,
it helps
you're right.
If you're 6'7", and you're playing someone who's like 5'11", helps. But before Green Day, I was learning guitar. I hated it.
Oh,
And yeah, and then I put it down. I was collecting dust, and then I heard Green Day. I was like, I kind of want to play these songs, and then I just picked it up, taught myself everything,
yeah.
and now I'm in Los Angeles on the best podcast, songwriting podcast in the world. So I
Yes.
take that, song jerker. Yeah,
Oh, that's hilarious. Talking about back to Weezer and Rivers. I don't know if you
yeah.
ever listened to any of him talk about songwriting, but he's got this collection of notebooks that he's written. Do you know this story?
I know the notebooks. I also know he has spreadsheets, and he makes his own programs now to write songs.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, he went back to school and he got like a master's in computer science.
That's crazy. I
So
hadn't heard that.
yeah, he did the notebooks thing. He's kind of like he's kind of like me. He just writes all the time, little
Right.
ideas here and there. But some of the notebooks thing remind me, because I know that more of the more like recent
Yeah.
stuff.
So the story that I've heard him talk about is he's got notebooks full of just all the pop hits over I don't know how many decades that he's just basically kind of like charted out and kind of dissected, and this is why this works, and he's very much is a student of popular music, popular rock music. And I mean, obviously I think that shows. I mean, like we're talking about the Blue Album, there's not a bad moment on that, and he's got so many other. Just dude knows how to write a hook and how to connect with people, and you have to attribute a good amount of that to just being a student of popular song.
Yeah, you can't be a good artist without really putting in the time with the art. So it's kind of like I know a lot of people say they want to be a writer. It's like, well, you can't be a great writer if you don't read,
Right.
and things like that. So it's like, oh, you want to be a great songwriter. It's like, well, you can't write great songs if you don't listen to great songs and things like that. At least that's my opinion. I mean,
Yeah,
hey,
no, I agree.
If you're out there and you're writing the best songs ever because you don't listen to good, great songs, more power to you.
Yeah.
But I love music too much to not do that. But I remember that notebook story when you reminded me. But what he does now is he has a spreadsheet, and he has a spreadsheet of like song titles, song themes, like lyrics here, and then he'll make a program and it'll just spit out something altogether, and then he'll write a song. Like it'll tell him like what genre to try it in, and then like do a verse, chorus, verse, bridge. Like it'll
Wow.
like basically he programs a song and then like writes around that.
Yeah.
And I think that's also fascinating. Like
That is fascinating.
Instead of it writing the song for you, like you're using it as a tool.
Yeah. Right.
Like that's pretty cool. So
yeah, that's super cool. I mean, it sounds like AI, but it's not really if he's doing all the inputs to begin with, and it's just kind of pumping him out. It's almost like a clone. It's a Rivers clone.
Yeah, it's
digitized into the computer.
You make your programs enough, and they learn who you are, and eventually it kind of becomes you.
He's like Richard Pryor in Superman 3. Gets like sucked into the computer.
It's so funny. I've only seen the first two.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. You do some remedial.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and watch them.
It's not the best. It's not the best one. It's very odd, but
I like the fourth one. I know the villain just grows really long fingernails and scratches people.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, you should watch it.
Okay.
that's
nice.
That's the only thing I know about it, but
yeah,
sounds pretty good.
Yeah, interesting.
But yeah, definitely Weezer, definitely Green Day are big ones for me. Definitely, they got me. They were like the first. Green Day was the first one that got me wanting to write my own songs, play music, for real. And then Weezer was one of the next ones because after Green Day I was like, I want more.
Yeah,
give me more. So Weezer came up, then Blink, Sum 41, all those like 2000s, 90s pop punk bands.
Yeah.
So, but those are definitely the bigger ones. Blink 182 is definitely up there. I don't think I channel as much because I think I write stuff that's more mature than them. So
yes, I would agree with that. Yeah, definitely. You definitely have that pop punk, power pop punk energy. But yeah, it's like you said, I think it's a little more what's the word, cerebral maybe.
Yeah, and not to say I wish I could write a song like All the Small Things, but my head's too too big for that. I'm just too smart for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a cross that you have to bear sometimes
Yeah.
to be as brilliant as you and I both are.
Yeah,
I know.
it's hard to be a genius out here.
It really is. It really is. Nice. So what the latest song that you released is what?
Oh, Tell Me That You Hate Me.
Where did that came from your list probably, but
It was on my list, yeah. I have a list on my phone of just all these. And what I remember, I wrote it at the beach.
okay.
And actually, I have my notebook here that I wrote it in. I might have some notes on there. Sometimes I like to write like who it's about or what it's about or something.
Yeah.
Okay. No notes. But it just says "Tell me that you hate me," and I have literally the chords. I have the BADE already there. I'm like, it's gonna be that, and then I have the notes. Oh, I want it to be DABG and then DAGA. Like it literally is exactly what it. I came home and I just did a little demo, and it was exactly just that. So
that's awesome.
I did rewrite some lyrics, and I think I did a good job because some of them aren't that good. Going through a breakup, probably a couple months after. I'm always going through something, you know. So that's where this one came from. Yeah, and again, like I was probably going through a breakup, but I wrote it not thinking about it. But now I'm looking back at the lyrics. I'm like, maybe I was kind of going through something now.
It was seeping in there.
I use my life as inspiration. So if you don't want to be used as inspiration, don't get close to me. Don't hurt me.
Yeah, right. That's, it's occupational hazard of being friends with a creative person is sometimes you're going to be in the sphere of influence, and that can be a good thing or that can be a bad thing. So treat me well. Like you said.
Treat me, be a good person. That's not that hard.
Exactly.
Treat me how I deserve to be treated, like a genius.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. What do you think is your fan favorite? What when you're playing live, what are the fans like the best?
There's two songs for sure. Wasted, which is our biggest song on streaming. And it's so funny to look back like when I wrote that song and everything. But that song and a song called House Party. Those are Wasted is those are songs that we have to play every show, kind of type thing.
Okay.
And I think people love them because they're simple,
Yeah.
and they're simple. They are catchy. They everyone I think has had a feeling in that way what each song's about, and Wasted especially is really funny. So I wrote that when I was 16.
Wow.
I wrote that when I was 16, sitting on the floor of my dad's apartment on like my bedroom floor. And I just wrote it in like 10 minutes and was like, I don't know what this is about, but I'm going to remember this. And it's just one of those songs, like you write thousands of songs. And if a song sticks with you for like 10 plus years, then it's probably a good song.
Yeah.
When I wrote it, it meant nothing to me. I was like, oh, I don't know who this is about, what it's about me, someone else. I don't know. But now I look back and I was like, wow, I think it's about my parents. Because they got divorced, so like I think like it's about being wasted emotionally. And, my dad, because of work, he was not home a lot, and I blame it all for that. I totally understand. I appreciate what he did for us, and of course appreciate my mom. But it's hard on a relationship when you have that distance. So in this song, I'm basically the whole time is like, one day I'll be back. Like one day it's gonna be back. It's gonna be fine. Like I'll be back. Like I don't know when, but I'll be there for good, and then everything's gonna be fine. Like I'm sorry that I'm doing this to us, but we'll get through it. And I was probably trying not to realize it was about that till I could fully grasp it.
One day I'll be coming home, but you won't know when. One day I'll get on my knees, beg for forgiveness. One day I'll say it's all my fault, baby, you can blame me. One day I'll look into your eyes and beg you not to hate me. And I know it's hard, so damn hard. This isn't the first time. I know the road is getting rough and all I do is stand by. I know you're feeling like shit, I can't stand it. I know we'll be alright. I hate seeing you so wasted.
That's Wasted, and it's a fun one. It's kind of slower than our other ones. Most of our other stuff is very much upbeat and makes you want to move. This is very much kind of chugging along and tears you up inside when you think about the words. So.
Yeah, exactly. It's got that emotional connection for sure.
Yeah. So I love it for that, and I've always loved it, but now, especially how much people love it. I also love playing it acoustically. Sometimes we'll do an acoustic set or something, and it just adds a totally different level to a song of that kind of raw emotion.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, I think the acoustic test too is, for me at least, if a song works with just a vocal and an acoustic, or just a vocal and a bare piano, like then it's a song that really works.
Yeah,
independent
100%.
of production that you're going to put on a record. So that's a testament to good songwriting to me.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't judge music on the production, because sometimes some of my favorite records are like have the worst production value because they're old or they're cheap, and it was never about it sounding good, just about getting the point across.
Yeah,
like I love the Replacements. I love old Green Day, and some of that stuff sounds terrible.
Oh,
like,
totally.
It's terrible, but I love it.
Yeah,
so much.
I get stuck on production a lot too, though. Like I have, I've got Logic at home, and I know just enough to how to do it, and I get a little blindery on like, oh, I got to make this sound slick and cool, and do this cool trick I learned from this other song, and then there's times where I have to step back and go, wait a minute, there's nothing emotional about this song, but it sounds good. So that's a struggle for me, is finding the right balance between those two things.
Yeah, I am right there with you. That's why I really like that I've been recording the stuff I've been putting out. I've been recording with other people. So like that album I did with my friend Travis, I guess he produced it, is what I should say, because he did. Yeah. Essentially. And he would give me so many great ideas. That album, if you listen to it, there's so many vocal harmonies throughout, and that's all him. I'm not a harmonies guy. Now I am. Yeah. Because he basically, and I never really appreciated them as much before. Just because I just didn't do them before. And I love that input from someone else. And like, he was the one also that was like, hey, maybe you should throw a solo in Wasted, or hey, maybe we should put some piano in the background here. And or I would have the idea, and then he would, kind of talk with me, and we would. So it helps having a conversation without your, not just yourself. Because it was just me. Like I'm the same as you. Like I don't have Logic. I have, I don't know if you've heard of it, GarageBand.
Oh.
So, pretty fancy. I don't know. The free software too. I don't pay for anything. And that's where I record my demos, and it gets the job done. I can make stuff sound good. Fool, that EP you mentioned earlier, I did that all at home on my on GarageBand and everything. Yeah. And I like it, but I feel like those songs have been better now, because that was also kind of a pandemic EP. Mm-hmm. So they've become so much better now playing them live with my band, and they could have added more things.
Right.
And,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? So
that collaboration, that someone to bounce stuff off is a valuable thing. Like I didn't really have anybody for this last record, and putting it out in the world now, I'm like, I kind of miss it. Like there's some cringy parts on there to me still, and I'm like, well, it is what it is. But yeah, I'm ready to do the next one. Like already, it just came out, and I'm like, I like you. I'm like, I really want someone to produce it, to kind of just to be able to have that step back, and it lets you really kind of dig into what's important to you as the artist in the song, and just having that sounding board is super important, I think.
Exactly. And I think what's really important too is to get a producer. There's a lot of producers that are big and famous that I don't like at all. I don't want to name names, Jack Antonoff, but he Basically, what I hate is that he will work with an artist and then he will, instead of kind of making them sound better, he's telling them, hey, do it in the style I like.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like, I want a producer to be, it should be a collaboration, not you telling me what to do. It should be a conversation.
Yeah.
And I feel like, there are these formulaic producers out there that will find something that works, become popular, and then they will just do the same thing they'll make artists that in the past have been very good with experimenting and trying new things, and then he'll just make them really bland because that's what's worked for him.
Right.
So I think when you find your producer, you shouldn't work with Jack Antonoff. That's what I think.
Yeah, I'm scratching him off the list.
Yeah, I knew he was probably on there, but
he was top 3, but now not anymore.
But yeah, I've always thought it was.
Stop calling me Jack Antonoff.
Get off.
Not interested.
Yeah, he left me so many voicemails. I don't want to work with you, man. Stop. It's kind of, at this point, it's kind of pathetic. Please stop calling me. Anyway, so I really like the idea of producing kind of with like a friend, right? Someone that there has to be a level of respect, obviously, like you respect what they've done, but it has to be somebody too that pushes you in the right ways and not the wrong ways, and only you kind of know that too.
Right.
That's the thing. Yeah. So
nice.
I kind of now that I think about it, like I kind of think like my band when we do, because now we record at my drummer's house. He has a little studio there, so they kind of all are producers on it. Now that I think about it, because they are basically, while we're recording it, suggesting things and working on it. So that's kind of cool. I just realized that.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Nice self-discovery on Willsbach Song Pod. How about that?
Yeah, that's why this is the best songwriting podcast out there.
Clearly, without question. Yeah. And then your other one, House Parties. So I'm a big Dawes fan. I don't know if you know this band Dawes. They're also from LA.
So funny. I've heard the name. Don't know.
Yeah, they have maybe a few more listeners than I do. Whatever.
Okay.
Huge fan. But actually, they just released a song called House Parties. They clearly heard your song, House Parties, or yours is singular. So they changed it a little bit. They turned it into plural.
Oh, there's multiple. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, they're good.
Yeah.
So how did House Party come about?
Yeah.
I wrote that in college, and I remember we had a house party.
Oh.
And I was dating someone at the time, and I remember I really wanted to write a song about how I just felt I was having so much fun and I was comfortable at a house party because I didn't feel like I had to be someone I wasn't. It was one of the first times I was very comfortable in a setting where in the past I might not have been. And the songs, it's not basically like word for word like what happened that night, but it's about, to me, it's a happy song, but it's so funny because people tell me it's not a happy song. Because the chorus is like, I'm lost, but you got the same look in your eye that I see when I look in the mirror. I don't want to waste any more time. And like, what's sad about that? You're lost, but they're lost too, and you're lost together. Like, you're scared, and you're scared together. Like, that's beautiful. I think that's awesome. So, I wrote that. It was originally called like, it was her name song, then House Party, and I was like, I don't like that. I never really liked songs that are like, one of my favorite songs of all time, Annie's Song by John Denver. It's a great song, but I don't love the fact that it's called Annie's Song. So I decided to call it House Party, which isn't even in the lyrics, because I kind of like when songs are called that without being that. It just makes you think of a house party instead of like being in your face like, we're at a house party.
Gotcha.
So
the label's going to make you change the name of that. You got to have the title of the chorus. Refrain has to be the title. You can't do it any other way.
Okay, Columbia, stop calling me. I don't want to sign with you, okay? I'm going to find someone that respects my vision. But that being said, Columbia, give me a call, and we can work something out. Maybe it could be called I don't want to waste any more time, subtitle House Party.
There you go.
I can I can compromise. I'm a reasonable genius.
A reasonable genius. That might have to be the subtitle of this particular episode.
Hey, I think that's a good one. But
reasonable genius.
But yeah, that song's just really fun to play. it used to be like in the beginning of our set, but now it's our closer because everyone has a great time. It's just a good tempo to end the set on. So
Nice.
it's a fun one.
You've done a little bit of touring here in the past year or so. You've gone up the coast,
Yeah.
is that right?
So we've done technically 3 tours.
Okay.
We did one in 2022, a West Coast tour just up to Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And then last September, we went like a Southwest tour. So I'm from Texas. So I wanted to go to Texas and back. So we did, California, then Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and then back. That was the longest one. That was 2 weeks. And then we did a mini one in February of this year. We played in a show in LA, then we played in San Francisco, and then Berkeley.
Yeah.
And the reason why we did that mini tour is because as I've said before, I'm a big fan of Green Day.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the East Bay punk scene, and the venue that they always played at was an all ages venue called 924 Gilman Street. And ever since I started playing music, I read so many books about, Green Day, Operation Ivy, Rancid, all these bands from that scene. And they always talk about how that venue was the most important part of their experience in getting, to play music. So that has been a dream of mine since I was like 12 years old to play there. And I finally was able to play there. But I booked it a year and a half before the gig because...
Wow.
Yeah, because I don't know how you book shows. I email people till I bother them, and then they get back to me, and then they finally book me.
Yeah. Solid strategy.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, totally.
It's been working.
Polite and persistent. It totally is.
Yeah, so that's all stuff we booked on our own. I made a spreadsheet.
So are you an Excel guy? Are you a numbers guy? Are you Google Sheets? What's your spreadsheet?
So I've used Excel. Okay. Numbers can die. I'm just not a numbers guy. And
gotcha. Right.
Yeah, are you a numbers guy? I didn't mean to offend you if I
No, I don't do Excel ever. I'm not a Microsoft guy. I'm a full on Apple bro.
Gotcha.
Whatever it's called.
I apologize.
I do use Google Sheets probably more than I use numbers.
Well, I was gonna say, so that spreadsheet, a lot of the ones, especially if I'm for the band, I use Google Sheets, so they have access to it too.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes more sense that way. That being said, yeah. So I made a spreadsheet of. I look at a lot of flyers of bands that are similar to mine, like in the same kind of footing, and I basically just when I'm on my phone, I take screenshots and I'll go and I'll add to the spreadsheet all the places they play. Yeah. So now it was started very small, but now it's huge. So I just eat whenever we know like where we want to play, what month we want to go on tour. Start emailing like 6 months before, and just try to get dates booked down. And then if we're having trouble, what I've done is reach out to local bands. And what I've learned, there's one thing I've learned about playing music. I don't know if this is your experience too, is that everyone that's in a band anywhere else wants you to succeed as well. Yeah. That's what every band I've reached out to is like, oh, we actually have a gig we could get you on. We'll try. Or they're like, oh, we don't have anything, but like, let me know if you're coming again. And same, like they'll reach out to us and we're like, oh yeah, here's some venues, like, I've never reached out to a band and they said, like, we can't help you. Yeah. Never. That's never happened. Have you ever booked a tour?
Long ago, when in Paging Raymond, my first band, the first 2 records were Paging Raymond, and we had a little bbit of college radio airplay, and kind of booked a tour around that, mainly in Colorado, for I don't know whatever reason. I don't know, but yeah, that's cool. Went on like a 10-day tour, packed in. We didn't have a van. We were packed in my little 2-door Blazer and, pulled a U-Haul. It was fun and awful and amazing and terrible all at once.
Yep.
Yeah. So Dom, what do you got coming up? Anything new coming up that you want to talk about?
Well, thank you so much for asking. I really appreciate that.
We totally did not set this up at all.
No setup whatsoever.
Completely organic.
So my band, Ugly Side Up, just saying it again, I feel like I haven't said it in like 75 minutes. So I'm saying it again. We have a show at the Mint August 30th.
I love that
Friday
venue,
with our friends in Victory Point as well. They're a very good band. That's our first show we've done since July. I traveled a lot, so it's our first show in like almost like 6 weeks, which is crazy because I love playing music. We're also playing in September at Club TG, like a Monday night, but it's a free show. Really cool bands. And then also in October, we're playing Viper Room twice. We're playing Dirty Mondays, October 4th, which is a Friday. It's called Dirty Mondays, but they do stuff on Fridays now. So I'm very excited about that show in particular because I've been a fan of what they've been doing for a while. They kind of showcase a lot of local talent, bring in bigger bands, and kind of they have a kind of built-in crowd too. So it's very, very cool to see that we can now become a part of that soon. And then also October 25th, we're going to play Viper Room. Is there going to be a Halloween show? We do a Halloween show every year.
Fun.
And it's also my grandmother's birthday who passed away. So it's going to be a good one. I'm going to dress up as her for Halloween. So it's going to be great.
Nice.
But yeah, that's the shows we got coming up. If you need to look up any information about us, everything's on our Instagram. That's the best way to keep up with us. I keep that updated daily.
Sounds
good. And if you have any questions, you can just DM us and we'll get back to you.
At Ugly Side Up?
At Ugly Side Up.
Yeah, all right, great.
The only one.
Awesome. Well, yeah, like I said, Dom, it's been great. So much fun talking to you. This has been my favorite episode ever.
I knew. I had a feeling. Yeah, I could tell. From one reasonable genius to another. Thank you for having me on the podcast. I'm very excited to listen back to it and stroke my ego.
Absolutely.
A little bit. And I look forward to listening to more of your stuff too.
Yeah,
Can't
thanks,
wait to hear some new stuff too.
Thanks for listening to Willsbach's Song Pod. You've made it this far. Please rate, review, like, love, add, subscribe, do all the things on whatever app it is that you're hearing my voice. That lets the almighty algorithm know that interesting people like you like this show and will serve it up to other cool and interesting people. Willsbach's Song Pod is produced by Willsbach Entertainment, LLC. Mixed, mastered, and edited by me, Tim Willsbach. See you next time.